It's September 11th, 2017, and this is the K-12 Engineering Education Podcast. I'm your host, Pios Labs, and we are continuing a series to try to get to know the educations of engineers from other countries outside the USA. This episode, I speak to Hernando Garrido, an engineer working in the USA but who grew up in Mexico. How does engineering education in our nearest neighbor to the south compare to this side of the border? Listen up, next.
So my name is Hernando Garrido. I'm a mechatronics engineer with a master's degree in manufacturing engineering. Since I graduated, I started working for Fresenius Medical Care. I started in Reynosa as a automation engineer, and after a year, I moved out to Concord, California, where we design peritoneal dialysis machine for people that have chronic kidney failures. I'm mostly in charge of transferring design for manufacturability. So what I basically do is look at the sometimes prototypes, designs, or new technologies that are existing and try to implement into manufacturing for new devices or improved devices.
So you do a lot of the work after a lot of the design has been made?
Mostly when we looked at the design, sometimes it's a concept, an engineering concept.
Oh, okay.
But sometimes we have prototypes. For example, the machine that I'm working right now, it's a prototype, and but we had to make a lot of changes to be able to bring it into production for sale. But it's it's what we call design for manufacturability. So we have to do this analysis, and sometimes we have to change the design to be able to manufacture it.
And you mentioned that you started out in Reynosa. Some people listening, they might know that that's in Mexico. You actually are from Mexico, right?
Yes, I was born in Coahuila. It's about 6 hours from Reynosa. It's a little bit down south from the border.
I see.
And when I moved to Texas to do my master's degree, I was doing it. So I was studying at nights and working in the mornings in Reynosa. So I had to commute every day.
Crossing the border every day.
Yeah, every day.
Wow.
For 1 year.
Can you talk more about the educational path that you needed to take to get to where you are?
Sure. So, like I mentioned, first, when I was in high school, I was very excited when my high school was one of the first in our city to get internet. So internet was not so popular. Well, actually, in Mexico was just starting to become available for everyone. But our school was one of the first ones. And I got really excited. I started, attending classes for just learning how to use a computer and browsing to the internet.
Yeah. And
then, that's how I guess liked engineering. But then I decided that when I decided to join engineering, was back in, I think, 2000. And I really liked I saw a poster that they were promoting a new career, and it was mechatronics. And so I got really interested in it, and I've always liked, improving processes or doing things better. And so I got really interested in it, and that's how I got started in mechatronics. And then after I finished, I worked a little bit in my hometown I worked with an uncle that had a construction company, and I did some steel structures and learned a little bit of CAD.
Like computer-aided design?
CAD is, CAD drawings and detailing structures, And then I decided that I, wanted to go and study in Texas. So I moved to Texas and started my master's degree there. And in my first semester, I met the director of engineering for this company, for Fresenius. And he offered me a job, and he offered me to pay for my studies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that worked out pretty well. So the company actually sponsored my master's degree, and it was very nice.
Yeah, I know. That's really nice. I don't know how common it is for how common it is to get a job right in school.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started doing a project with him, and I guess he liked my work or something. So he invited me over, and then he saw that I could handle projects on my own, and I more or less with other engineers that he was like always on top of them, and with me it was more like I could just take care of myself, and I gave him the results he wanted, and I guess that's what he liked about me. And the company was really good with me because they sponsored my full master's degree, and then they offered me a job in California, so it was perfect.
Yeah. So what brought you, or what attracted you to Texas in the first place?
Well, when I was doing my degree in Mexico, I took a year in Texas, in the Edinburgh, Texas, and I liked that university. I liked the fact that the university offered students access to, new equipment. The labs were fully equipped, and you pretty much have access to whatever you need to develop your skills. And what I liked about the campus was that they were really involved with several companies on projects. So the contact with different companies really helped understand what were the challenges and how would I fit in working with those companies. So I had actually worked with Corning on a project. They're in Reynosa, but they came to the university and sponsored projects. So that's what I liked about the U.S. college systems, that you have access pretty much to a lot of technologies and companies and projects. And in Mexico, it was a little different. In Mexico, their classes are more challenging.
Oh, really? Okay.
You have to really study and know all the theory. And then when you get to the exam, what you learn in class, it's not what you see on the exam. So you have to really use your mind, and you have to be creative, because you also don't have access to a lot of new technologies. So you have to be creative in creating your own projects, and I guess that's good and bad, but it's good for an engineer. So you have to use your creativity, and with less money and with more or less your own resources, you have to perform. And in the U.S., more or less everything is, the exam was more or less what you saw in class, and the problems that you see are more practical and real.
Did you know about what engineering education would be like in the U.S. before you came over?
Well, yes, because of those 2 semesters that I came to the U.S.
Okay.
So I got a feel of how the classes were. I actually improved a lot my GPA, because in Mexico, like I said, the classes were very challenging, and in the U.S. I got lots of A's and maybe a couple of B's in some classes. But
I was speaking with other engineering students who come to the U.S. Specifically, we did a podcast before about Indian students coming to the U.S. and then Chinese students coming to the U.S. And they say similar things that you say, that the classes in the U.S. aren't as difficult in some sense, but they're more practical.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea. And so you actually experienced education like right on the border. You were very close to the U.S. the whole time when you were a kid, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious like in the U.S., they say that kids oftentimes are not interested in engineering or computer science or those fields. I'm wondering what perception Mexican kids have of those fields when they grow up.
Yeah. So when I was in school, I believe that when you're a kid, you're not that interested if you don't get a feel for it, or if you don't see some demos, or some maybe some exhibition classes.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the kids that are in school really don't get excited about it. They more or less, when they have to join a career, they're like forced to, because otherwise they won't get any good pay or money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not because they liked it. That's my personal opinion. And it's funny that you mentioned it, because I had more experience on the U.S. side, because when I started working, when I joined for my master's, one of my professors asked me to help with some high school kids on a robotics team. They were participating in robotics, a robotics
Is
fair,
it like
or
the first or best competition, something like that?
Yeah, the first, first robotics competition, yeah. And I had to go to several high schools and help the kids, because they were going to that competition and none of the robots were actually working. And only a few kids in a couple of high schools were like really interested and trying to perform. The other ones were more like just because they had to.
Oh, wow.
And what I like about the U.S. is that it's promoting, since high school, for kids to try to join engineering by presenting some exhibition classes or demos, or by having these programs like participating in the first. When I was in high school in Mexico, none of this exists, but through internet and, I've been following up, and I guess some high schools have been participating now in this kind of programs. But that really helps when you're a kid, if you get to the feel for it. Some kids really like it.
Yeah, some kind of exposure.
Yeah.
And do you think that there are other differences between Mexico and the U.S. then? It sounds like American kids might have more access to engineering, but is that the biggest difference?
Yeah, the access to engineering and resources definitely helps. The maybe parents at home could also help if they encourage their kids to at least attend some of these classes or seminars. I know that, for example, UTPA had every summer. UTPA is the University of Texas Pan American. Now it's UTRGV, but
right.
But every summer they had a summer camp for high school, and these summer camps they had. I mean, they brought the kids and they had to build a bridge with popsicle sticks, and see which team was able to handle more weight, and they gave them prizes. So they motivate the kids during their summer to get a feel for engineering, and they make it fun for them. So that's one of the things that I would say is lacking in Mexico. And Mexico in summer, kids are just not doing anything like this. They're probably maybe playing some sports or hanging out with friends, or instead of having access to this. And this was very cheap for students to join the summer camps. And
Okay, it's not just for rich kids or something.
yeah, I was a teacher there. I was a volunteer, and I was helping them. I was in charge of a group, and I can see that that some of the kids liked it. I mean, there's obviously some kids that were not even interested, and because they're kind of in the age where they're a little rebellious. But yeah, some of them really got interested, and I think it made a change on them, and probably they would become engineers just like I did.
That's great. And do you think that there are any aspects of the education system in Mexico that are really good that maybe Americans should look at, that Americans should try to do?
Yeah, I like the fact that since you have limited resources, and if you want to really succeed, you have to be really creative on what you do, and challenging the students in that way makes them think out of the box. One of the things that I learned and I really appreciate about my college in Mexico was that anything that I was asked to do, even if I didn't know the answer, I knew how to get the answer and how to deal with it. And I see here, even at work, for some people that were born and educated here, that if they don't know something, they would stop and they would maybe ask someone to deal with it, but they won't resolve things. So one of the things that I really appreciate is that you don't say, no, I don't know, but you say, yes, let me see what I can do, and I will get it done. So that kind of thinking that really opens your mind and really makes you a person that will always try to get the answer and understand and be able to learn by yourself.
Yeah.
That's something that I really appreciate from Mexico.
How do you teach something like that? Do you, if Americans or American teachers want to teach their kids to be resourceful and not give up like that, I'm just curious if you have any ideas of what they could do.
Yeah, and by the way, I also work with a lot of people from India and China, and I see in India, especially in India, I see a lot of resemblance on this. I see that they are more or less the same. They are very creative on getting things done and finding the answers by themselves. So sometimes what I would recommend for teachers or for if they want to implement something like this is to challenge their students by maybe asking them to do something that they know that they can do it, that they don't have the resources to do it, or that they would have to find it by themselves. So don't give them all the tools and the resources, and see what they can come up with. And that way they will also challenge themselves, and I guess it will come up naturally.
Well, Hernando, that's really good advice. I really appreciate you taking the time to speak, and I'm sure all the teachers or other engineers listening appreciate it as well. And do you have any final words of advice for any educators listening? Yeah,
well, if it's for teachers that are dealing with high school kids, I would recommend them to be creative in the way they present engineering and make it fun for the students. So make them also think, excite them about the challenges that engineering has, and I think that will motivate several students, and they would become engineers eventually.
Thanks to Hernando Garrido for speaking. For notes, links, and transcripts related to this episode, please visit the show website, k12engineering.net. And if you're listening on iTunes or Stitcher, please leave me a rating or review to help others find the show. You can also follow the podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and all your other social media platforms of choice. Finally, you can financially support this show if you like it by donating on Patreon at www.patreon.com/Pios Labs. That's patreon.com/PIOS Thank you so much to all my current donors on Patreon. You make this show possible. Our closing music that you're listening to right now is called Wishing by Soiree, and you can find more of Soiree's music on SoundCloud. Check out this episode's show notes for links. The K-12 Engineering Education Podcast is a production of my independent studio, Pios Labs.